Today I'm back at NK Prestige Motors in Crossland Moor, near Huddersfield, and we're looking at an AMG CLA45. Now, similar to the Mercedes CLA series, but of course with a bit of an AMG makeover. We have a couple of additional wind guiding fins at the front. We have usual AMG touches inside. So we've got the AMG logoing. We've even got the trim nicely patterned as well. And that all contributes to an overall feel of a special car, rather than the more lukewarm versions in the standard Mercedes range. Looking at a 375 brake horsepower engine, which is pretty much ahead of what the CLA is in the standard Mercedes. Now, what else have we got? Well, we have auto mode, standard automatic. We have the ability to change the car's settings. We've got suspension settings which you can adjust, and various other things as well. But we also have a sport mode where the flappy paddles come in. So there's quite a few things on this which will get the adrenaline going. But as you'd expect from the Mercedes line, especially from AMG, you do have all those extra touches. We've got leather pretty much all over the place. And the stitching, there's real attention to detail there with this. But also we've got the enhanced stereo systems as well. We have, as standard in this particular car, the curtain airbags at the side, on here. We have a nice big sunroof as well, which extends back towards the rear passengers. So when it's open, it's not just the front passengers who get the benefit of it. The rear do as well. And 3 seats in the back. So BMW, take note. We also have controls for the stereo, radio. We've got heated seats. We have the cruise control. We have traction control off. We have parking assist to be able to turn that off. And we also have the ability to dial as well, because we've got the numbers for the telephone. But not many people will be interested in that these days, because quite often you can use voice control on your phone to do the dialing. But it's there if you need it. Quite a few controls on the steering wheel, though the cruise control is on a separate lever behind, just below the indicator stops. And it's actually quite clear when you're actually using it with the computer in the centre, the trip computer in the centre. You can see your range, you can see quite a few other things as well. You can swap between the different displays, and it shows you as well, straight away in front of you, whether you're in park, reverse, neutral or drive. To be fair, most automatics do that, but this will give you that option so you can see it, or you can see what you're doing with the flappy paddles. We've got quite a lot of storage and 2 USB ports as well. So we've got plenty of storage there, and we also have an adjustable, movable armrest. Although, if you put this fully forward, it does cover up one of the cup holders. I know Martin's very fond of cup holders. Anyway, standard control, dual zone climate control with actual proper tactile response. We have the radio controls, and we have a big screen right there in the middle, so you can see exactly what we're doing. There's ambient lighting in here, which actually changes colour. We've got it both on the cup holders, and it's also just underneath the interior handles, which gives the whole thing a nice glow, especially when you're in the dark. But even during the day, if you're sat back, you can actually see the reflection on the first cup holder, and actually see the colour changing. This engine has a particularly large turbo as well, which, if this engine were mounted so that it drove the rear wheels directly, there's a good chance that when you rev the engine, it would actually rock the car in a similar way to that Chinese hydroelectric dam that can actually adjust the Earth's rotation when used to full capacity. The seats are brilliantly comfortable. They hold you in place. They are very comfortable actually, and quite firm, but not to the point where things are uncomfortable. And you also have full access to the rear from the rear doors. The boot can be opened from the front. You've got all the controls you need as well for things like door mirrors and the windows, plus lock and unlock straight from the driver's seat. It's all there where you need it. Cruise control is easily accessible from the stalk, and also a couple of other trip computer functions as well can be adjusted from there. This is especially true as well of the steering wheel controls. So you can see digital speedo and your range as well on your current fuel. Gear lever is quite small. It's quite simple as well. Just literally tap forward, tap backwards. That's it. If you're wanting the controls, more controls for the floppy paddles and things like that, you actually have a manual button which shows a gear lever and an M. Now, unlike many of the BMWs, for example, the M series hotter versions of the cars, this doesn't have a sport mode really. They call it race mode, and this really does tighten up the car and give a faster throttle response from the engine. It really does set the car apart from the standard CLA. Headlamps, or the headlamp units, show that they're always LED variant, and when you actually turn the engine and start it up, it really does make a nice sound. This is definitely an AMG that you could really enjoy on the road or on a track. Mentioned before, the seats are quite comfortable. They're half leather, half cloth. Having said that, the cloth is a rather nice suede effect. If it's not actually suede itself, it really does feel nice to the touch. It's comfortable to sit in and holds you firmly in place. The seat belts are red, just to show that you're not in a standard Mercedes car. You are actually in an AMG, and it's something that bit more. You're shown clearly that the parking brake is actually on. As I mentioned before, it's an electronic parking brake, and there is a manual release just below the light controls. As is my sort of harping standard, you do have an actual key. And as people who have regularly seen this will know, and regularly seen the show will know, I'm not a fan of keyless cars because of the current relay box trend going along throughout the country now. It's harder to steal a car because certainly with completely remote systems, it's possible with relay box crime to actually take the car without you being present. So people often go to bed and wake up to discover their car's been driven off. A couple of the other touches, we have lighter AMG kit plates. We have also adaptive suspension. We actually have a button there on the front as well, which you can actually use to change the settings. So quite a lot of things to actually play around with. So quite a few extra toys in this car, which really does make that little bit extra that you pay over the standard CLA all the more worthwhile. Would I have one of these? Yes, I would. I quite enjoy the car. It has that sound to it that you really want from an AMG, and it's absolutely amazing. These alloys are standard on this version. They are an option on some of the other cars, but you can actually see the AMG logo as well on the brake calipers. Everything's there to say this is something special. The brakes are obviously that bit more powerful than the standard car, and of course you have quite a lot of the luxuries and comforts that you expect from Mercedes, with that little bit extra as well, which comes from an AMG. The only thing I would criticize is the way the display is kind of mounted as if it's a separate unit that can pop off. And it does remind me a little bit of another car that I reviewed last year, which is considerably cheaper. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that display was very clear, very vibrant, as is this one. It's just the way it's mounted. I mean, you get Audis where the display can disappear. And just that sort of thing, it's just sort of sat hovering. Having said that, it does what it needs to do, and it does it clearly. There's no distraction from it. You're not necessarily bombarded with information, and when it's being used in the sat-nav mode, you've got the whole display there. Everything you need right there. The only thing I say is, for me personally, it's just a little bit disappointing how it's placed, but it's not my car. It's not my choice. Other people will absolutely love it. Just my personal opinion there. Other than that, there's absolutely nothing to criticise this car about. And even then, that's being picky. The mirrors have the usual courtesy light on them, so you can actually bring them down, look at them, and you can see the little light that shines down. And of course, you've got your sunroof controls and interior lights as well. You've got some little interior lights up at the top. Really, this is a fantastic car. There's nothing major that you can turn around and say, I don't like that. There's nothing major at all. It's just personal, individual quirks. No car's perfect by any means, because if it was, everybody would have the same car. But if you're looking at one of these, you're certainly not going to be disappointed. This is a brilliant car and well worth the money.